Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
So we're getting ready to, record the show, get in the studio and everything. We're walking upstairs, and we passed by a box of clothes that have been on my landing for just a short while, like 3 or 4 months, as I've been like trying to consolidate and get rid of clothes and donate whatever. And my waist size has changed, and I have a bunch of clothes that I've been hanging on to from like my early professional years where the waist size was smaller, and I've long since given it up. I'm like, I'm going to work uncomfortable wearing these. I know Brad is like in way better shape than Evan and I. This dude's annoying. He's no body fat.
I rode the bike yesterday for half an hour.
Whoa, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
What are you doing a week's worth of work for?
I don't know.
And
I'm not even sore today.
And I say to Brad, and I was like, Brad, what size waist are you? Because I have these pants and they're a 31 waist, and I can't lie to myself. I'm not wearing these anymore. And Brad goes in front of me and Evan. He goes, 31. It's a bit big, but I can see.
I thought that was sarcasm.
And I turned to Evan and I was like, I can't believe I've ever made the mistake of liking this dude at any point in my life.
I don't think I've been like I said, I don't even know if I was ever that size when I started having to get like waist measurements, you know?
I wasn't a dick about it.
That's
I'm not taking it like that. I'm saying that is like crazy that a grown ass man has a 29-inch waist.
It's worse that you weren't a dick about it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I thought it was sarcasm.
Anyways, I wasn't even having a good day.
You were having an awful day.
I woke up with tinnitus. What's that about? What is any of this? So you just, you drove the nail in. Don't make the noise.
It was a firmware update.
Yeah, honestly.
I was joking around with Ryan before the episode that I was just going to make that tinnitus like noise like just randomly throughout the episode, because when he's editing it then he'd have no idea if it was actually in the episode or if it was just in his head.
The worst part of it is I think that would be effective. Anyhow, folks, very obviously we're near the end of the Red Wings season here based on how we started this episode. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, here to talk to you about the Detroit Red Wings and the incoming end. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we'll be talking about the Detroit Red Wings and their most recent game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where nothing notable in terms of hockey history happened, as well as their upcoming final game of the season against the New Jersey Devils. But I guess there's only maybe one effective Devil on the ice at a time right now.
Dougie Hamilton and like whatever their AHL team is.
Yeah. We'll be talking about a couple different storylines on the Red Wings. The NHL playoff race update is coming to a conclusion and getting spicier. Vegas. Oh.
Smell you later.
And then we'll be doing a prospect profile that people have been asking about for some time, and one that I think we might be revisiting more than once before getting into some NHL news and then overtime. We'll see where we land with that. Before that, folks, it's almost May 1st, which means it is almost time for the Jamie Daniels Foundation Comedy Night of Hope. If you don't have your ticket yet and you want to go, I have it on good authority that tickets are running out, so get them fast. Go to jamiedanielsfoundation.org to get your tickets and find out more. They're as low as $50 and include a meal depending on lunch or dinner, depending on which show you go to. The purchase of your ticket goes directly to support a new adolescent substance abuse treatment center that cares for youth regardless of insurance coverage or ability to self-pay. That's a vital lifeline for youth and families in Southeast Michigan. The show features 3 headliner comedians with Craig Shoemaker, Ian Bagg, and Mike Young, and is sponsored by Priority Waste and Cranks Catering. On the note of supporting the Jamie Daniels Foundation, 1 game left means 1 more game until the 2021-2022 Wings Money on the Board season pledges wrap up, and then we will be doing a call out for everyone to make their donations. Prizes will be sent out shortly thereafter, and let's see if we can hit that $20,000 mark for the Jamie Daniels Foundation. We're very, very close. We're about 4,000 away, so we're very optimistic that we'll be able to pass that. wingwheelpodcast.com/blog, and then go to the Wings Money on the Board post to find out more. All right. The Red Wings played the Maple Leafs. And before the game, the Detroit Red Wings, as they do, tweeted out the lines. And I mean, the lines are what they are at this point in time of the year, right? Like, no Larkin. It was in Canada, so no Bertuzzi. You have Kyle Criscuolo, I believe, on the third line. The best part about that was, though, of everything that the depth chart showed, the first line was Joe Veleno and Lucas Raymond only.
I did laugh at that. I'm like, yeah, there's nobody even worthy of having their name there.
They're just running they ran 70. So it was actually Elson who came up, signed for 2 games at the end of the year. And then Chris Cole was on the fourth line, Elson on the third. But they ran 70. They ran Neil Levy as a 7. And then Ned and Hellberg were in net. And it was, just Veleno and Raymond on the first line. And I went, oh, yeah, this is end of season hockey, baby.
The biggest indication that this was end of season hockey is at the end of the game, after the Red Wings played a largely terrible game as expected, and as an opponent hit some sort of career first or milestone, I sat back, reflected on the game, and went, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I'm like, we lost 3-0, showed
0 goals.
Yeah.
Hey.
0 goals. Again, all the things that I previously mentioned, and just went, I felt like that was going to be a lot worse. I'll take it.
You're not embarrassed.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately an improvement.
Yeah. Mo Seider did something cool. Ned made a bunch of saves. And they lost. That was the...
Lucas Raymond stole a puck.
Oh, the glove save. Forgot about that.
And Jack Campbell made it look like a routine glove save, which I thought was rude, actually. He didn't need to make it look that casual. But yeah, it was essentially through 2 periods, only 1 goal. It was Austin Matthews who scored the first goal. So, is what it is. But through 2 periods, I was like, that's actually a win. Knowing how the last game in Toronto went, like, that's actually a win.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I was watching the game, but I wasn't live tweeting it because I was flipping back and forth between another game. And I remember when Matthews scored his 60th and just where every Red Wing happened to be on the ice when he saw it, I had that moment. I'm like, if I had any desire to make a meme, this was the perfect still image of pointing at the Red Wings defense and then just circling Austin Matthews and going, the most dangerous goal scorer on the planet, as he is in the slot with nobody within like 10 feet of him.
Yeah. Just like the Red Wings didn't challenge for offside. They're a generous team.
Can't challenge that one.
No.
Hey, Otto's only 1 point back.
What do you mean?
The Senators?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a better points percentage than the Wings now, thanks to that.
Oh, so you're saying, you don't challenge that.
No. Yeah, we're the draft stock has improved in the last few days.
I don't know, man. Watching that game, I don't think Detroit was at any threat to score at any point. We're talking about the Red Wings not being bad. The storyline of the game is Nedeljkovic I hope, did not pay for a single meal or drink that night. I'm sure the boys went out in Toronto. It was the Maple Leafs, the 115-point Toronto Maple Leafs with a 60-goal scorer, and a near Marner is at 97 points. He might hit 100, maybe, depending on how the last game of the season goes, against the Red Wings, who are running Turner Elson, who's making $25,000 or $15,000 to play in 2 games over the last 4 days, and Chris Cuolo on the fourth line, and no first line center or first line winger opposite Raymond. They're practically in 2 different leagues. It's funny because all of that and Toronto's opponent now, in all likelihood, is the Tampa Bay Lightning,
who have had their number all year. Tampa has had their number.
Yeah, they just dropped an 8-bomb on them.
Yeah.
They made the Leafs look like the Red Wings.
I mean, hey, the Red Wings lost by less. It was only 10-7 with Detroit.
Buddy, the Red Wings beat the Lightning last week.
The Lightning are a weird team this year. They're very much a team that it just screams, we've played 2 full playoffs in a row, and now we're about to make a long run on the 3rd, maybe.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game, honestly. So that was Detroit. They lost. Let's talk about it. Austin Matthews, 60 goals in not a full season. He missed time at the start of the year due to his wrist surgery.
Yeah, which is incredible. My favorite part of that feat was that morning I was going to make the joke on Twitter that, a player's nearing a significant milestone against the Red Wings. Well, you can write that in pen, but then I went on Twitter and saw 100 people making the same joke. So I'm like, okay, everybody gets it.
Nothing's original.
It's fine. Yeah. So I'm like, It's out there.
In 73 games, he put up 60 goals. And to start the game, like, they were feeding him. Like, they were forcing it. And you know what? If this was the Red Wings, I'd want them doing the same thing.
Maybe as a bonus.
Yeah.
Easy to take the boys out.
Imagine having the balls to write a 60-goal bonus in your contract. Good for you. I hope you hit it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things they do to just to kind of like, yeah, if you get 60 goals, like, yeah, don't know if that'll ever happen. And you're like, oh yeah.
It's like in fantasy football where if your kicker breaks the NFL record for longest kick, you automatically win the week. It's like, yeah, fine, whatever. It'll never happen except for when it does.
And it's against me.
Someone said they're very obviously feeding Austin Matthews. Why not just like defend against that? I'm like,
you can't.
With who? With who? Did you see the same lineup we saw? With who?
Every team tries to defend him. That's why, and he still has 60 goals. Like, you can't.
Leafs fans trash talking the Wings. The Wings look terrible out there. Okay, welcome. Here we are. This is game 81, folks.
Peasants.
It's game 81. Look at the shape of this team. I want you to look at that lineup and tell me that you think Red Wings fans are expecting any different than this.
You think Toronto fans know anybody on the Red Wings at all at any point in the year?
Yes, Mo Seider, because
he'll be there because he's the Calder runner-up.
Ned had a good game. Raymond did some stuff. Seider, I think, had a good game. Rasmussen has been, continuing to be a delight in a lot of ways on the ice. And that's all you can expect from that game. That's it. It's end of the season. We're just coasting. We're vibing. We're waiting for the end of the season. And
I cannot be hurt.
No. Yeah.
You cannot hurt me at this point.
Well, I believe the saying is you can't kill what's already dead.
Yes.
I'm not dead. I just don't care anymore. It's over.
Good for you. I feel dead. Anyhow, that's the Red Wings. Congrats to Austin Matthews. It was a wicked shot that he scored on too. Ned wasn't making it easy.
Oh no, but you give, the greatest goal scorer on the planet currently that much time from that area of the ice. It's going in the net 100% of the time. Shooting percentages be damned.
So I'm assuming it will end up being the Lightning, in all likelihood, unless they lose out and Boston wins out. But Godspeed, Toronto against Tampa or not. I don't really care. I'll have fun watching one way or another.
The most boring jersey matchup in hockey history.
So what Detroit has to look forward to is one more game, the last game of the season, game 82 on Friday night against the New Jersey Devils. And here's where Detroit is at in the overall standings. They're 25th overall, and they could drop as low as 26 with Ottawa right behind him.
Hold on, you need to talk about this in the context that matters. It's the reverse standings.
They are currently 8th in draft lottery standings.
There we go.
And Ottawa is 7th. So Ottawa could pass Detroit. Here's what needs to happen. Detroit has one game left. If they lose outright and they just lose in regulation, all they need to happen is for Ottawa to get 1 point in either of their final two games against Florida and Philadelphia.
I like the odds in one of those.
If Detroit loses in overtime or shootout, they need Ottawa to get 2 points. As well as, and they can't jump up and Detroit can't jump up and pass Buffalo with that. Oh, hey, look, Anaheim won. Never mind. I was going to talk about what Anaheim needs to do, but Anaheim got a win, and so they are now out of reach. If Detroit gets a win, they go up to 74 points. That means they need Buffalo to get just 1 point in one of their final two games, and they need Ottawa to get 3 points across their final two games for Detroit to finish 26th or with 7th best odds.
And that's like 0.5% improvement.
Yeah.
And then the Wings will move up in the draft, but then Buffalo will win the draft.
That's just how it's going to go.
I don't care about where they finish for draft lottery odds. That one spot could just get them some positional preference on their draft. If they have two guys on their list, a winger and a center, at that point in the draft, having Ottawa lap them means they might end up with the center instead. So that I do not care about the lottery odds at all. Let me be clear about that. It's just that having that one less team in front of you might be the difference between getting the guy you want and, being pretty disappointed. And remember, we're not cheering against Detroit. We're cheering for Ottawa and Buffalo these last couple games. Let Detroit win the game. Let's just pray Ottawa and Buffalo win out. Throw on our biggest Sabres and Sens hats and hope for the best.
It's also Pierre Torian doing the draft for the Senators, so God knows whoever Detroit wants will still be there.
So again, to recap, Detroit's current draft position is 8th. They can jump as high as 7th, and they could drop as low as 9th, depending on how Ottawa and Buffalo do.
So what's 7th versus 9th in terms of percentage?
First overall percentages, Ottawa is current at 7th is 6.5%, Detroit at 8th is 6%, and Buffalo is 5%. For second overall win percentages, Ottawa is 6.9%. Nice. Detroit is at 6.4%, and Buffalo is at 5.4%. So you're looking at a 1.5% difference between 7th and 9th.
And like I said, the Wings would move up in percentage and then still lose to the spot that they just overtook.
Yeah, if FanDuel had a betting option for what's going to happen, I would bet Detroit is going to fall behind Ottawa in the standings, and then Ottawa wins the draft lottery.
Yeah, just
like I can feel it in my bones. Like, it's not enough for us to be hurt anymore. It's that they have to make it comical in how we hurt at this point.
Someone was like, what do they need to do to finish 6th? I'm like, it's actually impossible for Detroit to draft 6th.
War crime, maybe? Like, I don't know what they could do.
It's not like...
Which team is getting busted for some combine flaws? So, like, we're going to find out, like, Seattle forfeited their pick.
Oh, God. Just forces of nature.
Gary Bettman's had enough. He just folds the Arizona Coyotes next week.
Yeah, it's like, we're not even replacing them. Just see you later.
Yeah.
We'll do this again. I don't know.
Smell ya.
Or we'll take that $650 million expansion fee again. Anyhow, that's the draft lottery standings. I don't know if we gave this update. Zadina has been out and will be out the rest of the year. One more game. But he has had appendicitis. Obviously corrected now. Does not continue to have it, but that's why Zadina hasn't been playing. I think Giovanni Smith also has something that's been undisclosed that's kept him out for a long time. Some people ask me about him. Hellberg.
Why
not start him?
Maybe they will tomorrow. There's a game tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah, I guess maybe they start him Friday, but like...
So this got me thinking. Legitimately, I kind of said it as a joke, but why? What was the purpose of this? You signed a guy, paid him money with 2 healthy goalies, did not assign him to the AHL where we thought he might go because Pickard was injured at the time. Might still be, I can't remember. They literally they've given him money for nothing to this point, unless there is something in the works that they've got a wink, wink, nudge, nudge contract for next year.
Could be.
But at that point, this still doesn't make sense to me. Like, you could have just signed him in the offseason. If you planned on keeping him in Detroit, he doesn't have to go through waivers or anything like that. Like, I don't understand. Don't get me wrong. Magnus Hellberg is not the make or break of this team this year or next.
No, I mean, he's probably going to lose whatever start he's in based on the team that he's playing.
Yeah, and he's probably not very good. We went over this when we signed him. So, like, if nothing happens, it's not the end of the world. But still, I can't make any sense of it. Because even if they play him on Friday, well, nobody's going to sit here and form opinions on how good he is or isn't over one game.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of thing. First of all, when teams make depth signings, and especially guys who are at their third string or maybe might move to the minors or maybe like they're playing on bad teams in a depth role, that's a lot lower of an impact than like Tampa Bay looking for a second line winger, right? Practice means something. They're going to look at how this guy does in practice. They're going to look at how he works through training camp or whatever camp he's invited to. They get a sense of who he is from that as well. But yeah, just in terms of game time scenarios here, the rest of the team is beleaguered, beat up. They haven't practiced since like 2019 at this point. Like, honestly, when was their last practice? Like February, March?
It's been a while.
And they've had a run of games where it's like they're playing every other night. It's not like this team has a lot to play for, and it's not like they're going at 110% to the end of the season. Why not just start him and see what you have? I can't even begin to know what is
just like, why don't they just shut down Ned? Like, you've had a good year. You can travel with the team or go to Cabo or something. Like, why don't they just do that?
We're sorry. The private jet is on the tarmac. Go wherever you'd like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like, again, like you said, it doesn't matter. This guy's not going to come, like, in all likelihood, not going to come in and be a Vezina Trophy candidate. He's not going to take the net from Ned next year. But, it would be nice to see what he's got. Some people are like, Ned played like that against Toronto. Ned at this point is playing so hot, like he can steal games. Why do that against like a New Jersey on Friday, for example? It's like, yeah, good point. I have to imagine it's Hellberg on Friday, right?
Yeah, because like best worst case scenario is Hellberg goes out there, throws up like a 30 save shutout, and he's got a bit of confidence rolling into next year. Like, yeah, I belong at this level. Sign me. I'm gonna play for you, and I'm gonna play well. Like little things like that do boost confidence. Like Nedeljkovic getting that shutout, was it last week or the week before, and then having the huge game against Toronto despite the loss. Like these are going to be his most recent memories carrying into the offseason. Like, and it helps. And that helps every player. Like, you have a couple hot games going into Christmas break or something like that. You sit with that for a week or two. You're like, oh yeah, I'm on cloud 9 right now. I just came off like 4 points in 2 games or whatever. And then you walk back into the arena the first game back, like, this is my rink now. Like, it sounds dumb, but that's how hockey players feel. Goalie, player, whoever. So yeah, you got to get him into at least one game just on the off chance that, hey, you give him a little bit of a confidence boost going into next season. Nedeljkovic just got his. Greiss is probably done with the Red Wings, so who the hell cares? Like, no offense to Thomas, but like, he's irrelevant now. Like, if you're dressing 2 goalies on Friday, he's not one of them. Like, yeah, it's all confusing to me.
This is end of a long season discourse right here, like that.
Yeah. Hi, our third string European free agent who's 31 years old with 4 NHL games experience. This is a 5-minute conversation.
The Toronto Maple Leafs fans talking about Austin Matthews hitting 60, and if their first round opponent's going to be Boston or the 2-time repeat Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Red Wings fans, I wish Magnus Hellberg could get a game in.
Yeah.
Well, what line is Kyle Criscuolo playing on? Turner Ellison, is he making 15,000 or 25,000? We're almost there. Moritz Seider is off to play for Team Germany, and Alex Nedeljkovic off to play for Team USA at the IHF World Championship. Ever since like this whole, every time there's like a World Championship versus like proposed World Cup of Hockey revival again, I'm just like, I constantly have to check for which one is what.
I keep my Venn diagram close at hand.
Yeah. And that is happening in May, so mid-May towards the end of May. So
sign me up.
Yeah.
Just go over there and play some quote-unquote meaningless hockey with everyone in one little city. Oh, sign me up.
It's fun as hell.
Not me, because I can't drink anymore, but somebody can.
You had your one weekend a couple
I'm retired.
Ago. Yeah.
A couple weekends ago. It was like 4 days ago.
Did I say a couple weekends ago?
Yeah.
Wow, the passage of time, huh?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, it's been 4 or 5 days, and Evan and I are probably both still mildly hungover.
Yeah. Okay. Brad's favorite part before we jump to
I will say, while we were watching the Red Wings game last night, I hit hit the sim 4 times.
Yeah.
The Red Wings won 1.
Okay.
The other 3 were horrible outcomes, but 1 of 4 was not bad.
Ignore the stats. Just go with Evan's vibes. Detroit has a 25% chance of winning the lottery.
According to my logic,
yeah.
my truth, yes.
Your mileage may vary. All right, we're going to simulate the draft lottery with my logic and my truth. Detroit with 8th best odds as of right now. Oh!
Evan wills it into existence.
And Detroit wins the 2nd spot. Moves up 8 spots, drafting behind Montreal, and they win the Logan Cooley.
So will Logan Cooley be the first line or second line center?
Second line center.
Next year, second. 3-4 years, first.
Look at that.
Is he
folks.
old enough to win the Calder?
Old enough? Oh.
No, he's young by roughly 7 years.
I was actually really annoyed that Michael Bunting was out hurt last night, because I'm like, these jokes feel cheap.
He's invisible out there.
Yeah, it's like,
and we've seen what happens around Mo Seider discourse. He would have clocked him at least once that game.
Absolutely, and we were robbed of that. It was actually quite selfish.
Yeah, I still remember his first rookie tournament where Kirby Doc was pissing him off, and Mo Seider dropped him like 3 times.
Just leveled him,
derailed that man's career before it got started.
All right, well, that's the Winged Wheel Podcast dealing you some false hope in the form of the Detroit Red Wings winning 2nd overall, and.
Hey, if you want a bit of negativity in there, Shane Wright still stays in the division.
Oh, that's right.
Well, who actually won Montreal?
That's Montreal, yeah.
Yeah, they'll screw that up, though. Probably.
So, I actually assume, I'm just saying Logan Cooley because center and top rank center. Is anyone else going Slavkovsky here?
Okay, very rarely will I say you have to take a player solely because of position, but if you look at the Red Wings depth chart, they have to take a center if they're picking second. So I'm a big fan of Slavkovsky, but no.
So if you're another team that's not the Red Wings and you have like two good centers, you could reasonably look outside of Cooley and you might justify it.
I still think teams will load up on
centers.
On centers, yeah.
They'll go best player, and if it happens that they end up with like 6 amazing prospect centers, they're okay with that.
Yeah.
They'll trade one.
Worst problems to have for sure.
Yeah, if the Red Wings are picking second and someone wants to play devil's advocate with me and not picking Logan Cooley, I will absolutely listen to sound arguments for Slavkovsky, Juracek, whoever, but the only one I'm actually going to listen to would be Savoy because he's got a chance to play center.
Okay. Red Wings pick second overall, take Matthew Savoy. How do you react?
I'd be happy.
Yeah?
I'm a big Matthew Savoy fan. He's right now. He's
Cooley a lot more than him.
No, I wouldn't say a lot more, but I do like Logan Cooley more. But they're 2 and 3 for me right now. So
that's interesting.
It's not like they're reaching for my like 12th ranked guy. Like if they pick Connor Geeky, I might turn off the TV. But
even after the whole Seider saga,
no, I'll be very stone faced. I just on our camera, what people can see, but just know that what I'm watching behind the camera is now no longer there.
Yeah, I'm removing before the draft. I'm removing sharp objects.
We've seen Geeky play with our own eyes. We did not see Moritz Seider play with our own eyes against some of the top players of their age.
Yeah, we saw in person some of those red flags that go flying.
The Moritz Seider draft saga was a big, long Ashton Kutcher punked project. Yeah, and he got the reactions out of everyone. We've all seen the ice hockey.
He got the reactions out of Moritz Seider.
Yeah, he did. Good on you,
That's
Ashton.
our greatest defense. Oh, you thought we were surprised. Ask Mo.
All right. We're going to jump into NHL news here. But before we do that, I first want to call out that this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast is proudly brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook, sponsor that gives hockey fans what we really need, especially at this late point in the season, even more excitement in the game. There's so many reasons why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. They're simple to use with great odds on different betting markets, giving you more action every game day. There are also tons of fun with unique bet types like same game parlay and exclusive promos on the biggest events. And when you win, you get your winnings back to you safely in as little as 24 hours. Now listen to this. FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place a bet on any game and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back in site credit if you don't win. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get up to $1,000 back in site credit. What we want you to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started with that bet, and be sure to sign up with promo code WWP so they know the Winged Wheel podcast sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code WWP. You must be 21 and older and present in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, West Virginia, Indiana, Colorado, Iowa, Tennessee, Virginia, or Michigan. First online real money wager only. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-GAMBLER in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, or Virginia, Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789, 1-800-GAMBLER.net West Virginia, or call 1-800-270-7117 in Michigan. The NHL playoff race rages on, and holy hell is the Vegas collapse colossal. We were talking about this in the group chat today. I am not a Jack Eichel hater. I have no, personal vendetta against him. I understand that Buffalo Sabres fans will, and I understand a lot of hockey fans won't like how he handled his departure from Buffalo. And I think that's all perfectly fair. But you cannot deny the absolute drama, the top tier content coming out of Jack Eichel leaving Buffalo, going to Vegas, doing very little to support them in like 5 or 6 key games to get into the playoffs, and they are on the outs right now.
Everything in Vegas right now is a dumpster fire of how to not run your team in a stressful situation. They did this to themselves. I know they've had injuries, and that plays a huge part in it because they have had extremely horrible luck with that this year. But yeah, a lot of baffling coaching decisions, a lot of infighting, a lot of just fairly uninspired play in key situations. Like in that, what game was it? San Jose, where they had a overtime power play. Did nothing with it.
Missed the net a lot.
Yeah. Tied late with Dallas. Didn't pull the goalie despite knowing the implications of Dallas getting a point out of that. Like, The entire organization spending a whole week just trying to absolutely sewer Robin Lehner. Pulled him after 1 goal against in a game, despite him playing apparently very injured. Vegas in like record time went from being the best, most fun story into the NHL into, no, this is the New York Yankees and they must die.
They have something like a 3% chance of making the playoffs now. They're sitting with 2 games left each, Vegas behind Dallas, 4 points back. They need Dallas to lose in regulation against tonight Arizona, and they're already up 1-0 at the time of recording. By the time you're listening to this, it'll likely be moot point. But they need Dallas to lose out, and they need to win out. And from what we've seen with their multitude of opportunities to capitalize on slip-ups from LA, from Dallas, maybe for a hot second there you thought Nashville, they just have done nothing.
They lost to New Jersey last week and held a 4-2 lead against San Jose with just over 2 minutes left in a game and lost both those games.
Where they let the tying goal go in with
0.8 seconds left or something like that against a team that was playing for nothing.
Oh, they were playing for something.
Oh, they were. Yeah, this could be
not for the Stanley Cup.
No, as close as they could get.
Yeah.
It's disappointing that these are 2 teams going in the wrong direction because that could be a real fun rivalry for a long time.
Honestly, credit to them. Credit to the Sharks for talking their shit and backing it up. I think that's great. We talked about this last episode, I think, but that's the kind of hockey that makes late season fun. Like, think of how much Sharks fans love that.
Oh yeah,
that's the best.
If the Red Wings could stop the Leafs from making the playoffs, I'm watching that game.
I'm going to that game.
I am very much interested in that game. So
I'd buy a Kyle Criscuolo jersey just to wear to the game.
100%. Imagine the Red Wings had the opportunity to force Toronto to have to play like a way harder matchup. Like, let's say they
had to play Florida.
Yeah. It was either going to be like a beat up Washington or Florida. And they needed to beat Detroit to play Washington, and Detroit got the win and forced them to play for it. That's because that just, how that would get to the opposing fans.
That's so nice.
That's sustenance. So
I don't even care if my team wins. It's that I hope yours loses.
It's the kind of petty bullshit that you need to live off that when your team is this bad.
There's 2 ways to look at it. If others, not only should I succeed, others should fail.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm going down, you're coming with me.
100%. If you're taking me out, we're going down together.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the last of the playoff race. That's Dallas and Vegas. Dallas is the only team who hasn't technically clinched. And right now, I mean, again, at the time of recording, there's 7 minutes left in that game with Arizona, in the first period in that game with Arizona, and they're already up 1-0. Arizona needs to beat them in regulation for Vegas to stay alive after tonight. And, Vegas needs to do the thing, and they're just not doing it.
Is it bad for hockey that Vegas is failing, though?
No, you know what? I don't buy all that.
In what sense, though?
It's not bad for hockey at large. Is it bad for hockey in Vegas? Yeah, sure. New market, you want them to make it as long as possible, but they've had riches. Like, they've been spoiled in terms of what they've been able to experience as a fan base.
Well, that's kind of my point. Vegas is the one team in the NHL that embraces the true, we're all in, maximum chaos, make every trade, give us every free agent.
Well, this is chaos too.
Yeah, it is. And it's a fun storyline, but watching Vegas, trade Nick Suzuki for Max Pacioretty, give Alex Pietrangelo $1 billion, go all in and trade for Jack Eichel. Like, these are things we want to see teams doing. This is great content. This is fun. This is hopefully making more teams competitive by going for it. But Vegas doing all that and then failing is kind of going to push every other team in the league to go, yeah, maybe that's not the way. We're going to go back to spending 3 months trying to trade for Cody Eakin.
Oh, God, the Ken Holland era. I understand what you're saying. Here's why I think teams who are ever going to do that aren't scared by this. First of all, Vegas had atrocious injuries this year. Like, gross. And I'm talking about Jack Eichel not showing up. The guy's coming off of a long time not playing hockey healthy even, and he's still getting back into form.
Yeah, he had a part of his spine replaced. That's not the easiest injury to come back from.
I don't even want to call myself a Jack Eichel believer. You have to know that he's a phenomenal player, and on his game, let's see if he can regain his form, one of the best on the planet. Also, we're in an unprecedented era in human history, especially in terms of what, COVID has done to the salary cap in the NHL. So Vegas, someone who buys into Vegas' system, like let's say you're talking to someone from Vegas' administration, they're going to look at you and say, okay, if the salary cap had gone up however much it was supposed to be, we wouldn't have been in this situation.
Oh, no.
I mean, yeah, you're not going to find pity for me, but...
you're supposed to manage the cap, and you didn't think it would go down. Oh, suck my balls.
Don't get me wrong. This is also great content.
It's great content.
Like, watching the evil empire go down is fun as hell, but like I said, I'm just curious to see if this is going to make other GMs get a little more gun shy about it.
I honestly think Columbus would have been more of a cautionary tale.
But everybody knew what Columbus was doing that year. And to be fair, Columbus, that was the year they swept Tampa.
Yeah.
So, like...
maybe we are good.
Yeah.
Which, in a weird domino effect, is like now Steven Stamkos is a 100-point scorer anyways. I think very many teams aren't likely to do this. The team that we cover has a GM who's likely not going to do this until it's the exact right moment because he's the one person who has the patience for all this. Meanwhile, us meatheads are banging our heads off the table. Like, it's not an exceptionally common thing in the NHL as is. So, like, the thought of, is this going to scare GMs away? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think we're going to see a lot anyways.
All right. So should we just start the conversation now of like 5 months out? Is a fourth too much to ask for Mark Stahl?
That's where we're at.
The NHL sucks.
Not literally that, with free agency and whatnot, but
this is why I love the NBA. Oh, this one player looks mildly irritated. All right, 7-player franchise players going either way. We'll whip this up in an hour.
It's not for me. I don't like the way
it is the sickest league.
It really is, like in the best and worst ways. Out of the 4 major North American sports, basketball is a distant number 4 for me. And look at all this content from just the last 2 months.
I don't like even just in terms of the way their contracts work. I do think the NHL should be doing things to make things a little less restrictive.
You want your player pay them.
Like Antique Roadshow vibe.
Antique Roadshow is painfully accurate in terms of the vibe, the NHL, and the way it's constructed at times. I'm an old head at points where I will fight for the salary cap. I've yet to have my mind changed on that one. But there are I think the team control extends too long into a player's career. I think offer sheets are way too restrictive and prohibitive.
Yeah, what's the compensation for an offer sheet?
And the player ultimately has to sign it, right?
Yeah.
An offer sheet could be for the players. If the team they're on isn't giving them the money they want or think they deserve, here comes the Detroit Red Wings and they think Martin Necas is worth $9 million and they really handcuff Carolina. I mean, there'll be a lot of memes. The meme economy will benefit from this, but why should the player not benefit from this?
Hey, you're going to make a lot of friends with agents. Some of the agents listening to this are like, I like that Evan Lobsinger guy. He says a lot of good stuff.
Lobsinger@gmail.com.
Yeah, he'll take a 0.5% commission. Well, very firmly into season because we just went from...
I don't even know how we got...
Yeah.
I don't know how we got there.
Vegas. Here we are. Anyhow, we'll see what Vegas does. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that team handles this and whether or not they're in the conversation more so next year. You kind of have to be based on how you can't back out now. They're going to continue to have to try to be all in. Let's get to something a little bit more substantial and structured here, which is relevant to the Detroit Red Wings. Today's prospect profile is none other than US NTDP centerman, maybe even at the NHL level, Frank Nazar. Someone who is likely going to be available in the Red Wings range where they're picking, and a very popular potential Red Wings pick among fans, listeners, in terms of who likely is going to be called up by Steve Yzerman. So what do we know about Frank Nazar? How does he project as a centerman? And where would you take him in the draft?
All right, so getting into Wish.com, Logan Cooley.
I'll take it.
I know. I'm selling short. Frank Nazar is a great prospect, but it's beneficial that we recently did a prospect profile on Logan Cooley because their profiles are very, very similar. It's just Logan Cooley happens to be better at a bunch of things than Nazar, but they're both undersized centers with a very, very high motor, a very high level of creativity, and a very high skill set. There's not a lot to question about who Frank Nazar is as a player. You put the puck on a stick, he's going to try and make things happen. You take the puck off his stick, he's going to try and get it back. Gifted shooter, gifted playmaker, good hands, great speed. Will play every area of the ice. And it is notable because, again, undersized center, but Logan Cooley and Frank Nazar have been the top two centers at the US NTDP basically all year. I forget who it was, but the NTDP had a couple injuries at the beginning of the year of guys who projected to be that second line center, and everybody assumed Nazar would shift back to wing or shift over to wing when these guys came back. And when they came back, that didn't happen. Nazar was the second line center all year, great production, and again, had a phenomenal year. He can try to do too much at times, which, I'd rather that than the inverse. You can, try to rein him in a little bit, versus, trying to get a guy to do anything. But yeah, no, in terms of where I take him, he's firmly in my top 10. I've mentioned it before. Relative to where everybody should fall in the draft, he probably is my favorite pick for the Red Wings if they're picking 8, 9, 10. And yeah, he checks a lot of boxes as to what the Red Wings specifically need.
I think your comparison to Logan Cooley is funny, but it bears a kind of like attraction with overall rankings, right? Like you look at the kind of centerman you want the Red Wings to draft in an ideal situation. You obviously want a Shane Wright. You want a Logan Cooley. That's pretty much ideal scenario. Maybe you're big on Savoy, and that's great too if you think he can be a center at the NHL level. But Frank Nazar would not at all be a bad concession, especially when you look at who the Red Wings need. At some point, the center position needs to be answered. I understand you draft best player available, but maybe, and I know this is on repeat from every other year, this is the draft where you make some concessions, you make some room for margin for error, for lack of a better term, up or down on your draft board to make sure that you get that centerman. And to me, Frank Nazar does fit that build. What you said, Brad, is right. I think he's skilled, and I think his skating is fantastic. And as he continues to bulk up and get bigger, his skating should get stronger as well. He's undersized, but he's driven, and he's not a perimeter player. If he was undersized and he was a perimeter player and that's where he got all of his production, I'd be concerned. I would say, I'm not sure this guy could play center at the NHL level, and I'm not sure his game could translate to the NHL level. Maybe he'd get bullied, or maybe he'd just get boxed out and wouldn't be effective. He drives the middle of the ice. He finds a high percentage areas. He utilizes his vision and gets into space or dishes the puck out to space when he needs to. I think there's a lot to be said for what he can do in the offensive zone. Overdoes it at times, for sure. But, easier to tame a lion, or you'd rather have to tame a lion than paint stripes on a cat or whatever the hell it is. And that's not a perfect analogy here, but still to me, he is someone who should be a centerman at the NHL level. I also have him firmly in my top 10. And he's kind of on my best of the rest list for the Red Wings if they don't win that, one of those top two positions. It seems like we say this about a lot of different guys, but we kind of just pinpoint the prospects that fit the Red Wings bill. But he does match the Detroit Red Wings Steve Yzerman model. Skilled, does everything on the ice that you want, and has compete that stands out among his teammates, and that's an Yzerman player right there.
Yeah, he has a very well-balanced game, I think, from watching him. Good skater, good finisher. He can pass the lights out, too. Like, he is probably, like you said, the best of the rest. And I've seen him on draft boards anywhere from 5th to 15th, so when the Red Wings inevitably fall back 2 positions, he'll be right in their wheelhouse, so they'll get a good look at him because he's committed to the University of Michigan. He looks like in a couple of years he'll be a really good top 6 forward. I was trying to figure out how to best to say, maybe first line, most likely second. But he looks really good, and I think the sky's really the limit for him.
So naturally we'll be upset when Ottawa takes him at 7. because that's how this works. No, but having a guy like Nazar in this draft, in terms of the actual draft specifically, is important because if he falls, not even falls, it's around where he's projected to go. But if the Red Wings are picking 8th or 9th and he's there, you take him. And sure, there's better players available that you would have wanted, but he's still great and you're getting someone at a direct position of need. But the way the draft works is centers often get a premium. So I'd say it's almost likely he'll get picked ahead of the Red Wings because we always see team reach for centers. But then that creates another good scenario because that means maybe a Simon Nemec or a David Jiricek or a Matt Savoy have fallen. So because of his premium, it could either add value to the Red Wings pick because, better players at lesser positions fall, or he gets appropriately ranked and the Red Wings get a good player at a direct position of need.
Am I being too cavalier by saying I think he translates to a center at the NHL level? Because I've been told that before. I don't really see the concern other than the size, which I guess is very real. He does need to bulk up. He needs to get stronger. He needs to get bigger, but apply to every prospect.
If anybody says small centers can't succeed at the NHL level, like you just saw Braden Point win 2 Stanley Cups. I'm sorry. It can be done.
It can be done. It's not
easy and it's harder for these guys, but it all comes down to development. Like if you're drafting this guy, you are telling him, hey, wherever you play next year, it's going to be at center. When we bring you up to Grand Rapids, you're going to play center. In the prospect camp, you're going to play center. You train him to be a center. He's going to be a center. I think people overcomplicate that from time to time. If you think he has the tools and the ability to be a center, develop him to be a center. And if it goes horribly, all right, now we're going to try and save him by moving him to the wing.
And he does have the tools. The skating, like you talked about, and his compete. Those are the two of the biggest tools right there that you need.
You can teach a 5'9", 5'10" guy to win board battles. It's going to be harder for them, but you can do it. Like it's about positioning and leverage and timing and pace. Again, if he gets in there on even terms in an even matchup with Victor Hedman, he's going to lose that puck. And that's fine if he's contributing in the other 98% of the ice.
So the Red Wings draft options really, as of right now, at the time of recording, are 1st, 2nd, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Let's say the Red Wings are drafting the best of that, or the best of the rest. So they're drafting 7th. Frank Nazar is a very real option for you.
If the board falls as my board would fall, he's probably my preferred option.
Okay.
Now, if a Savoy or a Nemec falls, then all this goes out the window, and then you got to reevaluate. But yeah, he's about 7-8 on my list.
So the other questions with Nazar is what's the true upside there? I know we've had those conversations before. I don't think his upside is through the roof like it is with, Wright or Cooley, but I think it's still, I don't think Evan is wrong, for example, to say that, the opportunity is sky high. I think he could be a very good second line center in the NHL. Like I think he could fit into that mold. A lot has to go right. The ultimate ceiling obviously is a funny thing to try to project for these players. It may be a silly thing to try to hope for, but upside's not really a concern for me. I could just be ultra hopeful that the Red Wings land a centerman, so I'm making a very good option, a better prospect than he's out to be, but I don't know.
No, but it is those conversations that generally tend to get overcomplicated, so you have to narrow down the parameters. What is Frank Nazar's ultimate upside, and what is he capable of based on his skill set? Braden Point. What, from a talent level, can Braden Point do that Frank Nazar can't do at the same age? Basically nothing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Braden Point's development path went perfectly. He has the hockey IQ for days. Like, things went perfectly for Braden Point. Is that the likely outcome for Nazar? No, of course not. But what's the likely, quote unquote, ceiling that he's going to achieve? Yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty good second line center. Because of the physical limitations, you could see him turning into not much at all. Third line winger. He's not the guy that's going to play on your fourth line and, fill that role that a traditional fourth liner does. Without getting into the debate about what a fourth liner should be. But either way, he's not that guy. So I would say anywhere from second line center to third line winger is reasonable. I would bet on the second line center before I bet on the third line winger. But it's all in the cards. It's drafting. It's rolling the dice. It's gambling. So you better be prepared for every outcome. All right.
Connor McDavid. Jonathan Huberdeau.
I don't think that's Nazar's projection.
Johnny Gaudreau, Leon Draisaitl, Austin Matthews, Kirill Kaprizov, Matthew Tkachuk, Steven Stamkos. 8 players all already at 100 points, and I think Marner and JT Miller have an outside shot.
JT Miller.
JT Miller with 97 points. JT Miller with 97 points in 78 games. Mitch Marner with 97 in 72 games.
Can we put one thing to bed, just as a quick tangent? McDavid gets knocked in the Hart votes because he has Draisaitl. You can't even fully convince me that Draisaitl's better than Marner. So why doesn't Matthews get that same argument?
Scoring goals
Got a
is
sweet mustache.
and scoring goals is the hardest thing to do.
And Connor McDavid's doing it with equipment that's like 8 years old. So
I don't get it.
You would know that.
no, it's anybody who's like the gear idiots like me, like Connor McDavid does not change anything, no matter how, like the stick he's using is like 8 years old and his skates are
He's like Martin St. Louis when he still had the yellow synergy.
yeah, exactly.
Man, the silver synergy with the red blade, the one piece, favorite stick ever. Yeah, McDavid has a 122 point season.
A career high for him.
And any Oilers fan will tell you he's actually been kind of off this year.
Well, guess he should have scored 60 goals.
He's got 44. It's not bad.
You know who else has 40 goals? Who was it before the episode that I said?
You're a mess. Robertson.
Yeah, Jason Robertson.
Yeah. He's, there's a lot of like really surprising.
Kyle Connor's got 45.
Yeah. Connor's got 45.
Tage Thompson.
Chris Kreider's over 50.
Kreider's got 52. Elias Lindholm has 41.
Oh, yeah.
Tkachuk hitting 100 points.
The entire top line for the Flames.
Matt Duchene has 42 goals, 42 assists.
If anybody wants to ask who's the most underrated player in the league right now, there's your answer, because nobody's talking about him.
What a weird storyline. Anyhow, I just want to talk about that with scoring, or like with all of these point totals. Like, there's so many good storylines. I think Steven Stamkos, the line here is the rumors of his demise were greatly over-exaggerated. Like, for him to be the highest point getter on a Tampa Bay team that is still very much a cup contender is fantastic. Good for him. Matthew Tkachuk is probably one of the best unspoken players in the NHL.
Oh, he speaks a lot.
Sorry. Unspoken of players. And he's getting some coverage, and I'm not saying he should be like a Hart favorite, but the guy has 100 points.
I mean, he's like the second or third best player on his own line.
Johnny Gaudreau with 113. And he might not re-sign in Calgary. Like, this is going to be, first, that's a colossal storyline that I think is going to blow up as well. Or unless Calgary finds a way to keep him.
Calgary wins the cup, they don't care.
And I have a hard time picking against them right now. I really like the way
they're up against Colorado.
They might have to be at some point.
It should be the conference final. And what a series that'd be.
Connor McDavid's got 122 points, and then all of this isn't even looking at the numbers that Igor Shesterkin's putting up in a historically high scoring season. These numbers, we were talking in the group chat about this. These numbers compare really well going back a decade plus. And scoring was lower back then. It was easier for goalies to make saves.
Doesn't he have better numbers now than Carey Price did when he won the Hart in 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Shayna Goldman wrote a really great article on what Shesterkin's doing in a Vezina context. But she did mention at the end, and this is on The Athletic, she mentioned at the end, he should be bringing home at least one trophy. And I think that at least is a very good point.
He'll be the best player in the league, but not the best goalie.
You're still beat up about that, eh?
Stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, you were an Austin Matthews over Connor McDavid guy for the Hart.
Yes.
How are you with Shesterkin in the mix? Are you still at Matthews?
How many of those 100-point guys are in his division?
Oh, I left the page.
Not to say that that's the line in the sand saying, there's one or two guys in his division. That's why he's playing so well. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think with scoring up, it works for him, obviously, and also against him because scoring's up. Because other guys are having, one guy's having a 60-goal season and 10 guys are having 100-point plus seasons, career years. So I don't know if it's a wash. I don't know really where I fall on that, but He should get a nod for sure.
For me, it's the 60 goal narrative is hard to break, right? Like, how do you vote against someone who puts up 60 goals?
Well,
They
the
did
last
against
time-
Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, they did. That's exactly right.
Steven Stamkos didn't win it. So yeah, how can you? Very easily, apparently.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even a close vote.
Well, Steven Stamkos shouldn't have played in Florida.
This is fantastic. People are going to be passionate. Like, there's a very good argument that I did not give enough credit to for Shesterkin. Brad, you're not wrong that McDavid is getting LeBron'd right now. He's got 122 points and people are overlooking it because they expected McDavid. And I still think, like, scoring in the NHL, aside from the fact that we just talked about how much higher it is this year, it's the hardest thing to do. And Matthews put up 60. And then you have Huberdeau with his insane assist rate. Then you have all of these other guys putting up 100 points. You have Sidney Crosby playing still phenomenal hockey at this point in his career, to the point where he's still one of the best players in the world. You have to give him that credit. This is great from a neutral fan who has no horse in this race.
And then there's the Red Wings. They're going to have nobody break 70.
That's fine, man. We're okay. So I'd prefer 69 rather than 70.
Yep.
That is a win.
Yeah.
A rare win in a troubling season.
It's great. I think the Hart Trophy voting is going to be really exciting to see, and you almost never get that spectacle at the awards time. It's almost a little bit assumed and decided. I think it's going to be really interesting to see.
So who do you think wins?
I think it's going to be Matthews. I think again, from a voting perspective, and I don't even blame the voters for this, it's hard to vote against a guy for 60 goals. If Shesterkin, it sounds stupid to say, goalies have a harder.
Just give me your 1, 2, 3 then.
My 1, 2, 3?
Sure. I haven't even thought past one, so.
Matthews, Shesterkin, McDavid.
Okay, Brad, you can go.
Are we going by the actual definition of the award and most valuable?
No.
It matters.
How would you vote?
How would you vote?
Yeah, I'd go by the awards definition, and
Boo.
it's Shesterkin, Matthews, McDavid.
Oh, you have McDavid third.
I do. Matthews is having an unreal year. Don't get me wrong; they're neck and neck.
Yeah.
But yeah, McDavid and Matthews should not be as separated as they're in the general discourse of the public.
Yeah, I'd probably go Matthews, McDavid. I think I would give Shesterkin that tip of the cap with my third place vote.
The Rangers might not be a playoff team without him. Like, if we're talking most valuable to his team, the Leafs won a lot of the games that Matthews missed. The Rangers without Shesterkin this year, they're not guaranteed to get into the playoffs. Instead, they only yesterday were it was no longer possible to win the Metro. Like, come on.
The Rangers at points were playing hockey where you're like, I saw people saying, like, I'm concerned come playoff time because what's going to happen if they're playing this kind of hockey and Shesterkin was just dragging them. They did come to form.
Well, in the playoffs, they're still going to have Shesterkin, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue.
I will say, I think the Leafs did struggle out the gate for their first, 7 or 8 games.
I think they were really bad at the start of the year.
Yeah. Win, loss, win. OT loss, 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 loss. OT win, win, win. OT win, loss. Okay, yeah. So
that winning streak, which one of that was Detroit that set that in motion?
That was the second one. They won an OT against Chicago, and then they won 5-4 against Detroit.
There was a spurt this year where the Leafs were almost one of the worst teams in the league, and there was a month and a half where they were the best team in the league.
Well, that spurt where they were really bad was because their goaltenders were putting up save percentage in the low 800s.
That's the Leafs experience for you.
Yeah.
But then again, you get into this whole philosophical debate with Shesterkin as well. If you're going by most valuable to his team, it should be a goalie every year. There shouldn't be a debate for anybody else.
This guy's suck.
No, but it's true because it plays into the voters. Okay, hold on. No, shut up. I'm not doing this. You guys have made me talk about fucking awards in 10 times the amount of episodes as we do in a normal year. We're getting into that rabbit hole because I'm not repeating the same shit for 10 episodes in a row.
Yeah, go.
Brad's that meme where, there's the couples dancing at the party and then there's a guy in the corner. Brad's like, well,
he doesn't even know my definition of the Hart Trophy.
Yeah. Oh, God.
We have had to do a painful amount of trophy talk this year.
Go off, Brad.
More than I've ever seen in my life. So you got to get into the nuances. And I'm explaining why Shesterkin won't win, despite the fact that he probably should win.
You're not wrong. You're a dweeb.
Great job, everybody.
We did it,
Great
folks.
energy.
Oh, God. This is because of the waistline comments that you made earlier. I hope you know that.
I'm going to be a dick about it next time.
All right, folks, for your sake and maybe for Brad's, we're going to jump into overtime here. Overtime in this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast is first and foremost brought to you by our Patreon supporters, who are the reason we're able to get together and do whatever this episode is.
Yeah.
Twice a week. Thank you all so much. I promise we'll use some of the contributions for Brad's eventual hypertension medication and Evan's ongoing allergy medication.
I just rubbed my eye and something's happening.
Oh, it's red.
It's about to get twice as big.
Good Lord.
Yeah. It's, ooh,
Yeah. Oh.
good times.
I used to actually keep the bottle of allergy pills in here just for you.
Every time I touch my face.
Stop doing it. All right. We're going to jump into overtime questions, starting with our Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support the show. And quite a few people. Connor Howie says, when will the Hart Trophy return to Detroit? Oh, God.
Depends on how good you think Shane Wright and Logan Cooley might be.
Hart Trophy most likely candidates right now who are on Detroit. Raymond and Seider, obviously. Outside shot, Dylan Larkin, if they go on an insane tear. I would say 50-50 that the eventual next Hart Trophy winner is on this team or not.
If Seider's probably the best odds right now. Man, beyond him, though, there's not a lot of good candidates. Like, even for Lucas Raymond, for a winger to win it, you have to have, like, 50 goals, 110 points, and I don't know if he's got that in him. Look at what Shesterkin's doing this year. Maybe Kosa? Maybe?
Can you guys guess who the last defenseman was to win the Hart?
Last defenseman?
Yeah. Because you were talking about Seider.
Chris Pronger?
Shut up, Brad.
I was going to say
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
man. It was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
2000. That's
Wasn't
long.
it 2000?
Yeah.
That's long.
Oh, man. That's when Patrick Waugh was still... I just remember, because Patrick Waugh was... No, he wasn't the last goalie to win it. What am I saying?
No, Carey Price
Carey
was.
Price,
And it was
yeah.
Dominic Hasek before him.
Yeah, yeah. What year?
No, Theodore and then Hasek.
That's who I was thinking of. Theodore won 1 year.
It was 2002.
Yes. Yeah.
The year Ginla got rubbed.
Hasek won it twice in a row.
Both
97 and 98.
Both years the Wings won the Cup.
That is insane.
He's,
The fact that we are like, Shesterkin, yeah, maybe. Dominic Hasek won it twice in a row.
While Patrick Waugh and Martin Brodeur were in their primes, I still don't understand how there's debate around who's the GOAT. It's Hasek, and there's no debate for it. He went up head to head against them and crushed them.
Mr. Cloudicus says, hello, Dubber, and Dubby. So the Wings aren't going to win 5 of the last 9 games, but it made the last little bit of the season fun to watch, at least for me. That being said, what area do you think the Wings need to improve on? Examples, zone entry, covering the slot, power play, etc.
Yep.
If you're bottom 10 in the league, there's probably a lot of reasons.
Okay, well, here's the cold hard truth of it. Of the fundamental aspects of the game, as you were talking about, what are the Red Wings good at? What are they above league average at? Power play? No. Penalty kill? No. Goaltending? This year? No.
Team wide?
Breakouts?
Nothing.
Nope. Defensive zone? Nope. Offensive zone? Nope. Zone entries? Nope.
Well, that's why they're a bottom 10 team in the league.
So the shitty answer is everything. If I had to narrow it down, everything about their defensive zone is a damn train wreck. The coverage, the system, the breakout.
Leah Hextall's favorite hockey player, Mason Raymond, says, I always hear the Dub crew say Rasmussen can't be a third-line winger on a cup contender. Really quick, I wanted to point out that most of the season he was line mates with Ernie and Nemesnikov or Sundqvist. Isn't it possible that he just needed line mates who were half decent at passing? The last quarter of the season, he spent a lot of time with Larkin and Raymond and has looked better. When he's played with better passers, he seems to stack points.
Yeah, I'd probably put up 20 points with Larkin and Raymond.
I think he'd put up 4. Yeah. I think he'd put up a solid 4, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably actually legitimately sounds right. And like 3 of them are like just going off my skating in.
In all seriousness, though, here's the thing. Both can be true. Rasmussen can do substantially better higher in the lineup. But when we say things like that, it's less about Rasmussen and more about the composition of true Cup competitive teams. Look at what the Tampa Bay Lightning are composed of. Look at what the Colorado Avalanche are composed of. What the Florida Panthers have 100-point players on their second line, I think.
It sounds dumb to say, does Michael Rasmussen crack the Florida Panthers lineup right now?
It's like, just a different...
Because we have to keep in mind, and this happens... with Michael Rasmussen specifically a lot, where it just goes from one extreme to the other. We are happy with Michael Rasmussen, not because we think he's a top 6 winger. He's not. Let me be clear. He's definitively not a top 6 player right now. Okay? But at the beginning of the year, we didn't think he was an NHL player. And he has improved so much to the point that we think he's a good third liner. That is a victory. Don't start projecting him to be something he's not, because then you're just going to be disappointed next year and go back to the other extreme.
Here's the Florida Panthers lineup according to Daily Faceoff. I'll skip the first 2 lines because we don't need to have...
Yeah.
I'm almost certain we should be skipping the third line, but for the sake of benchmarking, their third line is Noel Acciari, Anton Lundell, and Sam Reinhart.
Yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, Rasmussen.
Their fourth line is hilarious. Joe Thornton, Patrick Hornquist, and some guy I've never even heard of, Eetu
Luosterainen, who's actually not terrible. Like, yeah, Michael Rasmussen is probably a healthy scratch game 1 on the playoffs on that team. Like, just for context to prove the point of what Ryan was trying to make.
And, Rasmussen, who progresses playing with better players around him, then yeah, maybe at that point you're going to say, look, Rasmussen is playing on the 4th line, sometimes the 3rd, but there has to be progression there. But as is right now, no, it's just not. It's not a knock on Rasmussen. It's a different sphere. It's almost a different sport right now that these guys are playing.
He's also like 22, 23 years old. There's still room to improve. Like,
he's young. Yeah.
I'm not saying this is exactly who he is going to be for the rest of his career. But yeah, no, like, please let's stop talking about Rasmussen in the extremes. He went from a fringe NHLer on a bad team to a good third liner on a bad team. And that is a win.
Aikfer says, who will be this year's Mitch Marner in the playoffs? Who will be playing like a who will be playing like a superstar compared to himself during the regular season?
Who's going to be this year's Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
Mitch Marner. Going up against Tampa's defense? Come on.
Maybe I'm just being an asshole here and I'm just thinking Toronto, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be Marner level, but the pressure's on Austin Matthews, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're going to beat Tampa Bay, you need to keep scoring like you're a 60-goal scorer.
So this would probably be a player on a team that's expected to do good, but a team that historically has not had a ton of playoff success. So that really limits the options. I'm just trying to run through. There's probably a couple good candidates on Florida.
Johnny Gaudreau.
That's a good candidate.
Is a good answer. He's been covered recently. He's had almost Marner syndrome. So I think, in terms of guys who will turn into superstars, I think he already is one. But I think Matthew Tkachuk can do a lot of damage to the kind of hockey he plays.
Kaprizov, maybe. He kind of fits that mold of a Mitch Marner.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't think all these guys are going to go off the face of the earth, but you're not wrong. Someone always does.
Vegas and Minnesota are heading straight. This is from Rye19. It says Vegas and Minnesota are heading straight for cap hell this summer. If you're Yzerman, is there anyone on either team you're going to gun for in hopes of getting a steal, or anyone you'd be willing to give up picks or futures for?
You know who's actually a half decent offer sheet candidate?
Kevin Fiala.
Yeah. He's really good.
He always has been, but I think he's above a point per game this year. He's got 84 points in 80 games.
Yeah.
And Minnesota is in a tight spot.
Like, even if they want the picks, don't want the picks, they might not have the actual cap room to match. Now, the salary cap's fake and everything can be done and teams can, always make something happen. But yeah, they're probably a better team to target than Vegas, because Vegas's guys you'd want to target are either under contract for bad contracts or old. So, yeah, Fiala's a guy I look at.
I-99 says, I'm seeing a lot of hypothetical 22, 23 Red Wings rosters on Twitter and Reddit, and I'm noticing a lot of people have like 0 guys above the age of 30 in theirs. Surely that won't happen. I get wanting to give young players a chance, but even if Stevie Y chooses the be bad for another year route, surely you need at least 1 or 2 older guys in the room. Yep. You're correct in that it won't happen, and I'll go even a step further here by pointing out, and this should be obvious, it shouldn't happen. Look at teams who rely solely on young players. They can and do get caved. There is something about, and I think it's more just, it's not articulated well enough rather than it's, intangibles. The linguists and the English majors listening to that are probably shrieking right now in their cars. There's something about winning culture. There's something about having been there, and there's something about knowing the kind of game you need to play at different points in the year. And the stability in the locker room, like the chemistry you have with those guys, a lot of that comes from maturity and a lot of that comes from experience. And you put a bunch of 20 somethings in there, something's going to blow up in the wrong way at some point.
Everybody's pooping their pants.
It's too much of that theme recently, especially with the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
Poop is in right now.
You gotta.
What the hell kind of turn did we just take?
Yeah, well, welcome to Evan. Welcome to allergy season, Evan.
Yeah.
Which I've learned is most of the year.
Almost worse in the winter.
It's fake anyways. You need that kind of stability. It doesn't mean you signed an old guy who's a bum.
Objection, hearsay.
So you are following.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have TikTok, man. It's everywhere.
You don't just sign guys who are bums, but you also can't write off what the older guys can do, even if it's not directly apparent in terms of goals and assists on the ice. Will I sing a different tune when the Red Wings are cup competitors? Yeah, of course I will. But
that's why I like Joe Thornton on Florida. Like, they just stick him on the fourth line. He just wants to be with the boys, and like, he's a legend. He may not
winner though.
He hasn't won cups, but like, everybody loves that guy. Just cruises around Florida with his tarps off and his massive beard. He's just one of the boys. He just wants to be one of the boys.
If Toronto has any modicum of success this year, makes the cup finals, or even,
let's just win around,
wins the cup, Mark Giordano is going to get a ton of credit. He's a guy who's been around for a long time.
Austin Matthews, 25 goals in 23 playoff games. Mark Giordano, though. I can see it now.
Conn Smythe winner. Hell yeah. Okay. The next question here, maybe our last question. Ben Barron says, "What's up, cheese bags? Let's just not discuss what happened last night in Minnesota for the Tigers." Oh, you guys saw that?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident you can make that throw underhanded.
I'm really tired, man. Real question: has Bert been in a hotel room in New Jersey for the last 5 or so days since he can't go to Toronto, or do we think he went back to Detroit? Can't think of a worse fate than staying in New Jersey for more than 2 days. Keep up the great work and let us pray the lottery balls fall in our favor.
He obviously went back to Detroit, but I'm going to choose to think that he's in a hotel room in Jersey because that's funnier.
Just hanging out in Jersey. Yeah, maybe.
He's in he's 6 drinks deep in Atlantic City right now.
All right. We have time for some Reddit question. Antonomy, I hope I said that right, says, any thoughts on what Zadina's next contract might look like? Feels difficult to evaluate him after his performance this season.
It will be a 1 or a 2 year for not a lot of money.
You're going to see a Rasmussen type deal here. Whether or not...
I don't even think he's getting that much term.
How much term did Rasmussen get? It was 3 years. Yeah. You're going to see some interesting takes based on overall ceiling, but even as someone who believes in Zadina's overall ceiling, he hasn't done enough. I think they're going to want some term to make it friendly, because I think he still has trade value in the event that he doesn't work out in Detroit. But Zadina's not going to be able to walk into that room and command a lot of dollars. He's still young. You don't want to walk him.
If I'm Zadina, I'm asking for a bridge contract. I'd be like, I know I'm better than what I produced this year. I don't want to get paid now. I want to get paid in a year or two.
Zadina takes an 8-year. It'll be for like $2 million a year.
The Cali Yarncroc special.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, if he asked for that, I'd give it to him. Because we know he's at least a usable third liner, and that's $2 million's fine for that.
Yeah, he's Zadina. I would expect 2 to 3 years. Michael Rasmussen is making 1.5, maximum $2 million a year. I don't want to say maximum.
My prediction is 2 years, 2.25.
I don't think we're going to see a big departure from that. Hasn't exactly been kicking down the door. Puzzlehead maybe says, with it, answer without thinking. Next coach. Lane Lambert.
Paul Maurice.
Yeah, but Paul Maurice was the first one that came to my brain.
Keep one. Stahl or Gagne?
Stahl.
You can't say Stahl with that shirt on. Or not say Stahl with that shirt on.
Yeah, I forgot I was wearing this. Mo's next contract, AAV.
Oh. 9.25.
I think he takes a Motown discount, 8.5.
I'll split the difference in there.
I think I came in low, actually. He's better than Darnell Nurse and all those other guys.
You can't. You can't. That's the Edmonton.
He's already better than them, and he's got 2 years before this contract expired.
Bertuzzi traded this offseason. No.
Yes.
No.
I almost said yes for what it's worth.
I think yes. We'll get into it in the offseason, but yeah.
Olives on pizza.
Smash the yes.
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 Oh, thank God.
Wait, black olives?
Doesn't matter.
I'm fine either way.
I'm fine either way, but I'm a bigger fan of black olives.
You know what I've been really into recently?
I'm scared to ask.
And I'm not trolling Brad here. Pepperoni, black olives, and onion.
You had me till the onion.
Yeah.
I got black olives on a pizza once and got someone insulted me.
They insulted you?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. One person was Catherine for sure. I can't remember who the other person was.
Olives is an elite pizza topping. That's like one of my go-tos.
It's salty and delicious.
Yes. Great. Someone to me,
clip that, please.
I've said way worse than that.
Someone once, an olive hater once said to me, they taste literally like garbage. And I looked at them and I said, I can't tell you you're wrong, but I still love them.
Do you like any sort of cured salted meat? Then
olives
is like the transition into vegetables.
For those of you who have not listened to it in off season, especially our Patreon exclusive, there's a lot of food. There's a lot of food related content. At one early, I can't believe this show ever made it out of the basement. I can't believe this show ever made it, because at one point Evan ate a full pineapple.
That really goes back.
On an episode.
I don't even remember why I did that.
I can't believe it didn't burn a literal hole through the roof of your mouth.
We don't know if it didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Why did I do that?
You were comatose by the end of it.
Do you remember why I did that?
It was one of those if this happens, I'll eat an entire pineapple, and it happened, and then people spent a year and a half calling you out on it.
And it's probably very inconsequential in the grand scheme of things.
It was if Alexei Marchenko gets waived or something. It was something stupid.
Probably. That's right on brand.
I can't believe it. Sorry, I shouldn't say I can't believe this show made it. I can't believe us three literally survived as human beings.
Yeah.
We haven't killed each other.
Yeah, well, when you look at the context of how long, let's not forget, Mika wasn't even a thought in anybody's head when this podcast started. She turned 6 in less than a month.
That is messed up.
I resent the Mika time scale because A, it makes me face the fact that she's getting older, which I hate. I specifically ask her to stop all the time. And B, I often forget because Brad doesn't age. Have you noticed that?
Yes, vampire.
God, you and your fucking waistline. Take the pants and go. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Wing Wheel Podcast. We're all over the place. It's the end of the year. If you hate it, welcome.
Comment on YouTube.
Actually, today's the perfect day for you to be making those jokes, because if it makes you feel a little better, I had a Dave's Double and 2 donuts today, so we're going to catch up soon enough.
There we go. I'm going in the other direction.
That was a time thing more than anything else, but it happened.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be the cars passing each other on the road. We'd like to thank all of our listeners of the show.
I'm full off-season mode now.
Yeah. The sponsors of the podcast, the FanDuel Sportsbook, everyone who supports the show, whether or not you're a patron, it means a lot, especially when you leave us ratings wherever you get your podcasts. And speaking of Patreon, our Patreon supporters, our name-level sponsors, Arjun Shankar, Yves Bartels on behalf of the Sarah Grand Foundation, the Stay Fresh Cheese Bag, Nick Perks, Brett Bailey, Terry Driver of the number 69, Ryan Hanna's Banana Slamma Jamathong, Matthew M. Rice, Billy Howell, Brandon M., Breaking Into Bank for a Hot Pocket, Brian Johnson, Carl Brutanen Nanoluski, Chimmy, Citizen High Five, Coyotes Season Tickets in Tempe, Craig Kibble, Daniel Garcia, Derek Enstam, DJ Denton, Give Blood, Fight Probert, Han Ali, Hassam Al-Qassem, I'd Leave My Wife for Seider, Jay Gollum, Jacob Turner, Justin and the Angry Mob, Kaylin Wood, King Tone, Kyle Hashman, Marcus, Matt McKay, Nicholas Fritz, R.A., Ryan Hubbard, Scott Martin, Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, Stay Fresh Greach Bags, the master and champion of the Winged Wheel podcast, the freshest of cheese bags, the legend himself, Joseph F. Fournier, Zach Spring, Sam Bankson, Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, Adam, Now I Finish Better Than Ernie, Antonio Gracias, Babe Landeskog, Ben Barron, Cheese Bags, Stay Fresh, Connor Leighton, Dave W., Evans Parking Garage, Evans Bingo Card, James Laporte, Jeremiah Dobo, Jeremy Brocker, JM Rhapsody, who's a new name level sponsor. Welcome. And thank you for supporting the Dub Dub Club. Josh Yelton, Just Trying to Vibe, man. Kevin McCracken, Quaz, Matt Keeler, Matt S., Missing Vladdy More Than Ever, Papa Woody, Revi DeLuca, Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, Trevor Pevivar, Zach Handyside, and Zach McCann, a driving range superstar. See y'all later on,
Whatever.
After the season is over, we'll see you on Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.